Going live. Hey guys, what's going on? This is my first stream from my cell phone, so hopefully it goes alright and it's not too laggy. Let's actually turn this the other way. Orientation is locked. Rotate device. Oh, hold on. Let's rotate the device back. Locked. Man, that stinks. What's going on? Man, I really can't rotate the orientation. I have to do it long ways. It's a bummer. Alright, well, anyway, I just wanted to share my adventure with you guys, and I think I can see you. Again, this is my first time streaming on my cell phone, and hopefully it's alright. In fact, if anyone can see me, just give me a thumbs up or give me a shout real quick. Let me make sure I can see your guys' messages. Show live chat messages, yeah. Show. I don't see any chats yet, so if you can see me, do me a favor and just say something in the chat, so hopefully I can see it down there. But I just wanted to share a little bit. You're okay, cool. So everything works. So I can see your guys' chat. I just wanted to share how I got to where I'm at. In fact, let me sit down here for a minute. I'm outside of my apartment right now. I live in Los Angeles, and I wanted to go over just about, you know, my journey, how I got involved in the cryptocurrency, where it all began, and kind of what I'm doing now, and just take the opportunity for you guys to get to know me, really. I have a lot of subscribers here on YouTube, and it's really awesome, and I never thought it would turn out to be so successful so quick, and to be honest, I don't even stop to really think about it or appreciate it, because I'm continuing to grow what I'm doing. I treat it very much like a job, so I really try hard every day to bring new content and new information and be useful inside of the space. In fact, this is probably the first time in my life that I really felt what I'm doing in the past couple of months has been like really important work. Like I never felt that way before. And I guess to start, let's take it back to, I guess, college. So I was in engineering college. I was a chemical engineer. And for those of you who don't see, so I am in Los Angeles. I live in Glendale, California, with my roommate right now. But anyway, in college, I went to school for chemical engineering. I went to school at Philadelphia. I grew up there my whole life with my parents. So I went to Drexel University. I went for chemistry. I went for 5 years. I got my bachelor's. I did several co-ops there, so I got a lot of good job experience. I worked at major pharmaceutical companies, several Fortune 500 companies. I used to work at GlaxoSmithKline. Hey, what's up, Cleve? I used to work at GSK. I used to work at Merck. And then after graduation, I worked at a company that did power. We worked on power plants. I did controls for power plants. So I would go in and, for example, say a turbine or a fan needed to turn on, and when someone pressed the button, you know, that needed to happen. So that's what we did. We made sure it happened when someone pressed that button to make sure that fan rotated, or, you know, condenser turned on, whatever, it happened. And I worked there for a couple of years. And I guess during that time, really as soon as after I graduated, I kind of wasn't really happy or satisfied with my job. I began reading a lot of books, trying to figure out what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. I was always very entrepreneurial minded. In fact, when I was a kid, I used to cut lawns for a living. I only worked one like minimum wage job. I was a hostess and a waiter, and did takeaway for a little bit at Outback, a restaurant, but I only worked there for like 6, 7, 8 months, and I quickly started my own lawn business. What I did is I just cut people's lawns, and I made $30 an hour, which was a hell of a lot more than I made, you know, working at Outback. And I made $30 a lawn. Sometimes I could cut 2 lawns an hour, so that'd be like $60 an hour. And I became, you know, fascinated with being able to work for myself. I was like, you know, I'm more creative, I have better ideas, and I ended up working and doing that with a couple of buddies for several years during school, in college. My roommate now and I actually started a website called Campus U Books, and what it was a kind of like a Craigslist for your used textbooks. We would, um, you know, be super bummed out when we try to sell our textbooks back to the library, and we would only get like $5-10 for our $500 textbook. So we started this website that was kind of like a Craigslist where you can meet people and you could search by school, you could search by your class, and you know what book you're looking for. So say I was taking Thermo 2 at Drexel, I could search Drexel for all Thermo 2 people that were selling, you know, the Thermo 2 book. Or you could list the book yourself. So that's awesome to hear, Crypto. Sorry, I was reading your comment. That's pretty awesome. And we'll talk more about, you know, what you can do. I think I saw your comment on one of my videos a couple of moments ago. Checked out your channel. Looks like you might be starting your own channel. But anyway, what I did is, yeah, so we had this book website, and then whatchamacallit, another popular, basically, college rating system website bought our company out. They bought us for, well, an undisclosed amount, but we did it with 4 people, and we split it between 4 of us, and it kind of helped pay a little bit of tuition. It wasn't anything, you know, tremendous or life-changing. We just felt really cool that we'd worked on something in college and were able to sell it. So it was cool, and we sold it to Koofers.com, which is a website review system or whatever, or not website review system, but college review system, where you go in and you can review like college courses and get ratings of teachers and look them up. So, you know, when you're trying to sign up for classes, you can, you know, check your professor and check out if he's hard or whatever, and make a decision if you want to take that class or not. So that was kind of my first entrepreneurial big kind of venture. I also built a bunch of websites. Mostly when I was in high school, I built websites for a living. And back in the day, they were actually, you know, customly coded from the ground up. Nowadays, you can do everything with like WordPress and things like Dreamweaver and all these different websites, Weebly, things that just make it really easy, way easier back than when it used to be. I probably can't do it anymore, but I used to be able to code an entire site from the ground up, you know, with a notepad file, HTML, PHP, some JavaScript. So I would do that mainly for like restaurants. It wouldn't be anything, you know, amazingly hard. It would just be a lot of content, simple email form and newsletter maybe. And I would do that on the side for money as well. And so I was always, I guess, like I said, entrepreneurial minded. I always wanted to do something of my own. And then after college, I never really thought about, I went to college and I literally picked the highest paying major. My dad was an engineer, I was good at math and science, and I was like, sure, chemical engineers, they make the most amount of money, and at least according to the list, you could list, you know, highest paying majors by category, and I think like petroleum engineers and kind of chemical engineers were up there, and to be a petroleum engineer, you have to be a chemical engineer anyway. Petroleum engineers are basically the engineers that work in petroleum. They help bring up like petroleum and oil up out of the ground. And they made the most money, so I just went to school for it. It wasn't that hard for me. I was able to do it, but I never had a great interest. You know, I never woke up and was like super excited to learn about, you know, heat transfer or, you know, thermodynamics or physical chemistry or orgo. I never, you know, was super excited about it. But I was like, you know what, I'm making a lot of money. And I was making a lot of money. I was working on co-ops where I would get it paid a pretty good amount even while I was still in school, but I was actually, I grew really depressed when I was on co-op, actually, and it became a recurring theme. I had 3 co-ops during college, and they became just points in time in my life that were really stressful. I didn't enjoy them. I didn't like going to work. I actually loved being in school a lot better, because school, I never spent 40 hours a week doing it. It was something that I could easily do in 15-20 hours. I actually skipped a lot of class, and I was just luckily gifted. I didn't have to put a lot of effort into it. I got B's and A's and graduated with a pretty good GPA, but like I said, I was never really interested in my job, and I took just the first paying job out of school. I didn't really care that much. I was like, wow, this is good money. I'm making close to 6 figures, and I took it. And like I said, the first month or two were great. I did a lot of traveling, so it was interesting and fun. But after the first month or two, it just set in. I was like, you know, is this really all that there is? I'm sitting at a desk, I'm living at home. I was saving money just to live at home. What I actually ended up doing those 2 years that I worked, I just saved up money. I forewent investing any money into my 401k. I thought that I could invest it in myself better. So I saved up my money, and in about a year's time worth of working at my job, I bought myself my first house, and I started renting it out as a rental property, still while living at home. In fact, I bought the house, it was actually in Philadelphia. It was only 15-20 minutes from where I was living with my parents at the time. And I rented that house out, and I still own it today. It's a great investment in my mind. In fact, I think everyone should try to get some real estate. I think real estate is a fantastic investment. Just like Bitcoin, real estate is extremely rare. It is, some argue, the most rarest resource on Earth. So we have X amount of people on Earth. We have X amount of land, and the amount of land is never changing. That's static. That stays at say, Y. There's Y amount of land on Earth. And the X amount of people is continually increasing. I don't know when we're ever going to stop. We're always going to find new ways to cram more people and be more creative with how we create space in the world. In fact, we'll probably move people to other planets at some point. But you can, argue that land is the rarest resource on Earth for that reason. There's always going to be less on average per person every single minute and second that goes on. Right now, there are more people on the planet than there were 10 seconds ago. So there is now, on average, less land per person in the world on Earth. So real estate is extremely valuable, and I definitely think it should be part of everyone's portfolio. I know a lot of us that are probably watching this are pretty heavy into cryptocurrency, and me too. And I don't actually think you should stop investing in the traditional stock market. I don't think that's safe or logical. But anyway, so real estate is a great piece of investment, and I would love to buy myself some more. Currently, I just own one house, and I continue to rent that one out in Philadelphia. But I started reading a bunch of books as soon as I graduated. I wasn't really happy, and I really got on this really good regimen and routine. I was constantly working out. I was reading a bunch of books. I read on average a book every 2 weeks, and I've read pretty much all the classic self-help books that you can think of. Books on how to be successful, how to improve yourself. Books like, in fact, the first book I read was called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and it kind of really set the tone. It got me into that mindset of, these are the effective habits that I need to acquire. And it really picked up. I really started to change a lot of things. So I started reading all these books: How to Win Friends and Influence People, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich, Charlie Munger's Almanac, which for those of you who don't know is Warren Buffett's partner. He's great book, great mindset, he has these 25 what are they called? 25 there's a name for them. 25 basically words or things that he uses when he researches like an investment, like how greedy the company is, or how what's their mission. Hello, Sunny Jane. Anyway, it's a great book. So I started reading all of these books to just help improve myself. And what I learned is that after about 3 months, you could start to see the decision-making in your behavior change as you read the book. It's like it takes an amount of time for that information to synthesize. So as you read the book at first pass, you start to read it, right? And you let that information sink in, and it's just really cool how after 3 or 4 months after reading the book, you get into a position where you have taken a different course of action than you normally would based upon the information that you read. For example, maybe you're now waking up at 7 a.m. instead of 9 a.m. because you read in a book that it's beneficial to wake up early in the morning. In fact, there's a great book on that called The Miracle Morning, which just teaches you how to acquire the mindset and some of the great benefits that come with waking up earlier in the morning and setting a good spiritual routine, working out, eating breakfast. And maybe you start waking up at 9 a.m. and then you look back 3, 4, 5, 6 months down the road, and you're able to see hey, that was it was because I read The Miracle Morning that I'm now waking up early. and you start to see that, and you can see your behavior starting to shift and change. So it's really cool how several months down the line you really start to see some of your actions change based on that reading. And I think that takes time. It doesn't automatically happen. It kind of has to sink into your brain a little bit, and you start to synthesize that and start to alter your behavior, because you might not have started waking up at 7 all at once. You might have had to acquire and do different things, little things, to get to that point. Maybe you had to start going to bed earlier. Maybe you had to start drinking a full glass of water in the morning to help you wake up. Maybe you had to start turning your cell phone off at a certain time at night in order to, make sure you woke up early. And you could start to see all those little things change, I think, as you start to read. And that's what I really started to learn after reading a bunch of books, and several months after reading them. So after about 3-4 months of reading these books, I was like, wow, I'm really advancing, I'm improving as a person, and I started to just read more. Like I said, I started to read about a book every 2 weeks. In fact, I think I even got to a point where I was reading a book a week. And someone that I really admired and helped me in my entrepreneurial journeys was Ty Lopez. I think he had a lot of great courses, and I know a lot of people shit on him for his courses and videos, but if anybody's taken any of his courses or watched any of them, he actually has a ton of great information, and I really learned how to create a lot of different businesses given his information. So back to me, I was working this job that I didn't like. And what I did is, while I was working it, the first thing I did is, me and my buddy Paul were extremely close friends. We had grown up together, and we had started creating entrepreneurial ideas. We actually would get together once every, well, we would get together all the time. We would work out together, but we would meet up and talk about, entrepreneurship several times a week. And we pulled a couple of our friends in it, and we would have these weekly Skype calls where we would literally just toss ideas and think about what we were going to start, what we were going to do. And unfortunately, the other members of the group weren't that interested and didn't show up a lot. Me and Paul were pretty insistent on, creating something. So that fizzled out. We had this cool idea, actually, where we were going to create this germicidal bag, sterilized radiation UV bag, where, you would go to the grocery store, and a lot of people, especially in places like California, we use reusable bags here because the plastic bags at the grocery store cost money. So we had came up with this idea for these bags to be reusable and sterilized so that they didn't get all icky, because a lot of people bring these, bags to Whole Foods or the grocery store, and they use them every day, and what they do is they get dirty. So we had invented, or wanted to invent, this bag that would sterilize it via UV radiation. So we had started to mock it up, design it, do the research, and get together weekly to talk about it and give people different tasks. Like I said, it ended up fizzling out, but this was all part of the journey and the process in becoming, an entrepreneur. Me and my buddy, hey, what's up, Colin? How are you? Do me a favor, guys, hit that thumbs up button. What it does, it allows other people to know, it was worth watching. It helps me out on YouTube. But what I was saying is, me and my buddy then started to get really interested in real estate, and all the entrepreneur books and things that I was reading, really suggested real estate. So I really started to research it, and, like I said, I ended up buying that house, and then shortly after buying that house, me and my buddy Paul shifted to real estate and really thought it was a great opportunity to become invested in real estate. And what we did is we thought it would be a great idea to go get our license and become real estate agents and be able to buy a bunch of properties, keep investing. In fact, I still want to buy a bunch of properties. I didn't end up buying any more, but we wanted to buy properties and rent them out, and basically take that money and the income that you use from one house, take it to a down payment on another one, and start to create this little, pyramid of homes. And once you have building enough income, you can quickly use the value generated in one to go make a down payment on another. And in addition to that, just the idea of being a real estate agent seemed very free. It seemed like you were working for yourself. It was you start your own gigs, your own jobs, you go out, you get it. It seemed very appealing in that sense, and because I had that, investment mindset and wanting to invest in real estate, it really interested me. So what me and my buddy Paul did is we went and got our real estate licenses while working our 9-to-5 jobs. And we did that together. We've studied every day, and I would work my 9-to-5 job, and I would study real estate at the end of the evening. And I took this course online And I applied, and I went, and I got approved for my real estate license, all while being an engineer working at the company that I was working at. So that began the beginning of my real estate career. And we did it by the books. We did everything. We knew exactly what to do. We bought all the right programs to teach us how to become successful. We bought all the books. We read all the right things. We had all the great tactics in mind. We were very innovative. We were setting trends. We were approaching people. We were outgoing. We were very proactive. But at the end of the day, I started to realize that real estate just was not my passion. And no matter how much books I read, no matter how many programs I invested in, no matter what I did, it again was very similar to engineering. I could only be, no matter how good I was at engineering and working at my 9-to-5 job, there was just something missing. And it didn't matter how well or good I did it, it wasn't for me. And I started to slowly realize this with real estate. It was just becoming a grind. I wasn't enjoying what I was doing. I would go from my 9-to-5 job, and I was starting to dread doing and working on real estate because I would do it every day after work. There was no time off. You know, I hit up the gym right after work, and then I started real estate. There wasn't, you know, go home and watch TV. I never really watched much TV. I never, you know, I used all my free time to read, learn, and write, and reflect on what I was doing. So anyway, we went and we got our real estate license. I became a licensed broker at Keller Williams, one of the largest real estate companies here in the U.S., and we gave it our best shot. And I became extremely, basically depressed. I was working my 9-to-5. I was hitting up the gym. I was working on real estate. I was getting home at midnight, you know, and then it was time to read and research on my own because me and Paul were working together on real estate. We were kind of creating our own real estate team, and I was just jaded. I was not having fun time, and it was showing at work. I was really struggling, and it was just showing, and I was, you know, really confused as to what the hell I was going to do with the rest of my life. So I figured I needed a break, and I had a lot of money saved up, and at the time I was very greedy, and I didn't think I had a lot of money saved up. I thought I had to keep working before I could just take a break. So I don't think I listened to my body quickly enough. The only thing I regret was not quitting my job sooner. But I ended up quitting, and I ended up planning this crazy solo backpacking trip where it was just me, and I said, you know what, I want to go as far away from where I am, and I just want to go sit on a rock and meditate and read books because I had started to get really into meditation at the end of my job. I was meditating and practicing good health just because I was starting to get depressed, so I was starting to practice and read books. You know, I was reading books on everything that would help make me, you know, happier and like my job more. And I discovered meditation through a friend, and I started practicing it. So I was like, hey, I want to go as far away from possible. I want to meditate on a rock on this beautiful beach. I want to sit by myself. I want to read books. I don't want to do anything except get away, basically. So I planned a trip to Thailand. Thailand was the first place I started. And in fact, I immediately spent a couple of weeks with monks in the middle of the jungle just meditating every day. And it really, I don't know, it was one of the best experiences of my life. And I really learned how to train the mind and the body to, I really learned how they're one and the same, really, the mind and the body, how they're so interconnected. But I really learned how to, that's okay, Sonny. I feel the same. I have started to get dark circles. I started to get dark circles working on cryptocurrency so much. It's not good. I think I need to actually take a little bit of a breather here, but it's been quite difficult as I'm starting, you know, a new career and a new startup. I think I actually used to be a little bit healthier than I am now. I'm spending way too much time working, but I love what I'm doing. But anyway, like I said, I went as far away as I could, and I went on this solo backpacking trip by myself, and it was one of the most amazing experiences ever. I spent about 2-3 months away traveling through the Philippines, Indonesia, Thailand, before actually becoming really fascinated with being able to help other people spiritually and mindset wise. So what I did is I actually went back to school online, and I became certified as a health and wellness coach. And I started a company called Sam's One Life, with the idea that everybody is only given one life, and you want to do the best with what you got. Everyone has one life, and you want to make it the best as possible. You only have one shot. And, you know, screw what everybody else has to say, and just do what your dreams are, and go after them, and just screw it. You have one life, and we all, you know, have one shot at living that perfect life that we've always dreamed of and made up in our minds and our heads. You know, we don't have a million shots. If you're working a 9-to-5 job and your vision was to, you know, and it's not even necessarily about money, but it's about freedom. If you want the freedom to, you know, live with your parents on a beautiful home in California, which is one of my goals, then you have to make the right steps and put the right plan in place to go ahead and do that. So anyway, Sam's One Life was all about helping people with that mindset and coaching them. And I became certified as a health and wellness coach. I did the course actually while I was traveling. I came back home for a little bit and became certified as a health and wellness coach. And what I thought would be a great career and opportunity has since been put on the back burner. I guess long story short is the health and wellness market was extremely oversaturated, and it was really hard to get into, and it's not something that I don't like or enjoy anymore. In fact, I love talking about my growth spiritually and meditation. I'm huge on meditation, and Buddhism. I'm very big Buddhist. But anyway, it was super saturated and really difficult to launch my career in health and wellness. And I've since, well, I guess I kind of gave it up. So I continued traveling, and it turned into, you know, 2 or 3 months of traveling turned into about over a year. And I spent time just solo backpacking on my own, and I really don't think I've ever grown as much as I did solo backpacking. More than books, more than college, more than any year in my life. I learned more solo traveling than I did any other year in my entire life. You learn how to connect with people. You learn how to be on your own, how to do things. You learn that there's other people out there in the world that are just like you, that are struggling through the same exact things, and you use them as a source of inspiration. You also have way more creativity and freedom. You start to see other people that are more open-minded. I just learned that there's way more open-minded people out there in the world doing amazing shit with their lives. And you don't have to be just another somebody working the same exact 9-to-5 job like everybody else is. And I really learned that it is possible. And there's so many creative people. I was like, you know, artists and photographers and film editors. I was like, you know, that seems like a really hard gig to get into. It's impossible. You have to, you know, if you want to be a musician, you have to just be really lucky. But no, these people have been trying their whole lives and are open-minded to it, and aren't okay with going off the beaten path. And for the longest time, I was stuck in that mindset. I stayed at my job for so long. I was like, this has to be the way. I have to just grind through it. I have to, you know, get a house, get married at 21 or 25, have kids by, you know, 27. And traveling really broke me free of that mindset and really made me realize that there is nothing that isn't possible. There really isn't anything that isn't possible. Anything that you're trying to do, you can do it. And it all starts with the mind and the mindset. You really have to first envision it and believe in it. And it's really crazy because at first you almost have to tell yourself a little bit of a lie, because either if you're not in that mindset now, you're just not in that mindset. What you have to do is almost lie to your mind. And in fact, that's where affirmations come in huge, where affirmations are basically statements where, you know, might not necessarily be true. For example, one of my affirmations is, I love my $10 billion cryptocurrency business because it allows me to be close to my family. And that's something that I read to myself every day, and that is on the board. And it's not true. I don't own a 10-figure cryptocurrency business, but it's my goal. And I read that every day. I want to have a 10-figure cryptocurrency business which allows me to be close to my family, because that is one of my goals. My family lives back in Philadelphia. Thank you, Ian. But my family lives back in Philadelphia. My goal is to be able to retire and bring my parents out here in California to live with me, or maybe not live with me, but maybe on the same quarter premise as me. They can live in the the penthouse or something. um, but thank you guys. So affirmations can really help with that kind of mindset, and make you realize that nothing isn't possible, and it really helps by traveling. And I think there's no better way to do it than solo, especially because I noticed when I started to travel too long with an individual group of people, you really get comfortable with those people, and you don't grow as much. You definitely do not grow as much as you do when you're alone. And I really started to learn more about myself, who I was, being okay with what I am, where I am. I had insecurities just like everybody else. What I look like, am I too skinny? Am I too fat? Am I not fit enough? Am I not outgoing enough? I don't like to drink a whole lot. Am I weird because I don't like to drink? All these kinds of things. And I just learned to become a lot better as I was traveling. But as I said, I kind of gave up on the health and wellness coach for a little bit. In fact, it was, like I said, an old business of mine, Sam's One Life, because it just wasn't profitable enough. And I continued traveling, continued discovering more about myself. Meanwhile, I had always been invested in cryptocurrency. My first Bitcoin purchase was sometime in 2012, and it was a long shot. I had no idea what I was buying. My friend Paul, actually, that I mentioned earlier in this video, was the guy who convinced me to purchase some. And I might take this video inside because it's getting kind of dark. Let's do that for a sec. Hold on. Let me turn the lights back on in my house. Let's go into my office. So this is where we do all the work. This is actually where I normally record my videos from. In fact, I love this glassboard thing with all our notes. But anyway, what was I saying? So I gave up the health and wellness coach, and I started to, that lighting is really annoying. I'm going to hang that up there. So what I did is I started getting invested into cryptocurrency back in 2012 when I was convinced by my friend Paul to do it. And again, it was like I had no idea what I was doing. I just invested a little bit, purchased it for, I forget how much, $200 or $300, something like that. And it was something cool because I think, and this is really key for new people in this space and the new people in cryptocurrency, but you really have to just invest a little bit, because you're not going to pay attention to the market or pay attention to your investment until you have a little bit. You're not going to be interested in learning all the new stuff about blockchain and Bitcoin and invest $100,000 or $1 million right from the get-go. You have to start with a little bit. Just tell people to invest $100 into Bitcoin, and they'll be really keen and interested, as their investment grows, obviously. So as my investment grew, my, interest in cryptocurrency and Bitcoin grew a lot. So I think it was the year 2013 that I actually discovered that Bitcoin was ran off the blockchain. At first, it was just this weird virtual currency that I purchased a little bit of based off of my friend's recommendation, and I had no idea really what it was. I was, it didn't make much sense. My friend honestly didn't explain it very well. His explanation was shit, and I was, I purchased a little bit just based off his recommendation, and he was a good guy. But I had been studying and interested in the blockchain this entire time, and watching my investments grow and adding more to them this entire time, while I was working, while I was in school, while I was traveling. I graduated in 2014, so I purchased my first Bitcoin back while I was in college. And I guess the beginning of this year, I was still solo traveling, actually, the beginning of this year. So I was in, where was I? I was actually in Thailand again. So I spent a lot of time in Thailand. Thailand is kind of like my second home. I actually ended up living there for about 6 months. But I had been to a bunch of different countries, in the past year, just solo traveling. I was in Europe. I was in South America. I was in Southeast Asia. I've been to almost every country in Southeast Asia. Only one or two that I probably haven't been to, but I was studying the blockchain and just becoming more and more interested this entire time. And what I actually ended up doing while I was in Thailand, I met a really great inspirational guy that really started me on my path. His name was Malcolm, and we met actually at the hostel that I was working at. So I actually ended up working at a hostel for no money, actually. I just got to live and eat for free in Thailand. It was a place for me to stay in exchange for me helping out. And it was actually an amazing opportunity. It was really funny, being an engineer. I was a chemical engineer with a degree, and my parents were like, "What are you doing?" All my friends were like, "What are you doing?" I was working in a hostel for no money in a really poor area. I was working in Chiang Mai, and to be honest, it was one of the best experiences of my life. I worked there for 2 months, and I wouldn't change a thing. In fact, I miss those people and that lifestyle so much. Obviously, it isn't something for forever for me, because I definitely think I have a lot more value to bring to the world. But it was a growing experience, and I really learned a lot about life. And to be honest, I love the Southeast Asian people. They're a lot nicer and have a lot better of a mindset, I think, than we do here in America. But I met this guy, Malcolm, and another buddy, Ben, and we started this business actually while I was in Thailand, a social media agency. And we really were able to parlay a lot of what we learned into this, or at least I was. What we did is we started marketing and doing social media advertising for hostels, because what I learned while traveling for the past year is that there were so many amazing hostels that were not being stayed at. There was all these open beds, a lot of fast internet, great people, great clean space. A lot of people, when you're traveling, you just want a clean bed with good internet and good food to sleep in. And a lot of them went unmarketed or unadvertised because people, Thai people were working in them, and they didn't know how to properly, attract new people and new clients. So me and my buddy started the social media agency that would help get these people's ideas out there and get new customers to them. And that took a lot of research and time on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. We learned how to leverage all these social media platforms to bring new clients to these hostels and provide them value. And I had experience designing websites, so we were able to throw that in there. And we worked on that for 2-3 months. And it ended up not working out. My buddies ended up leaving me kind of high and dry. And I kind of tried to keep doing it on my own, and kind of doing it online collaboratively with some other people, but ended up fizzling back out. What I ended up doing is saying screw it, and I came back home. I was getting down to the end of my budget, and I was finally starting to think, hey, I have to return to the real world. But what I did is I went back home, and I was still determined to not have to return to the 9 to 5. That was a last resort, really, 9 to 5. And I thought that it didn't matter. I still had great ideas up here, and I knew that what I was doing was working, and I was starting to see little pieces of it. And I was always, on the road traveling, trying to start up these little businesses. And I said, you know what, I'm going home, and I'm just going to Uber and Lyft drive, because that gives me the time and freedom to do what I want. I get to wake up, make my own schedule. I get to work on still what I want. I don't have to do full-time Uber. I could work, 20 hours a week and use the other 20 to do something that I wanted. So I actually ended up coming back home to Uber and Lyft, even though I had a degree in chemical engineering, because I just did not want to go back to that. I did not want to have my 40 hours, more like 50 hours here in America, be eaten up by a job that I just wasn't passionate enough about. So I used those other 20, 30 hours to actually start my cryptocurrency business. And it didn't start out immediately. I mean, it started out small. My friend convinced me to start the YouTube channel, and it all started with a portfolio tracker. Me and my buddy had been using this portfolio tracker that we built in Excel that pulled a lot of API data from a lot of these big exchanges and just helped us analyze our portfolios, basically. And they'd started to become pretty diverse. In fact, last year, around summertime, is when I started to discover that there were more cryptocurrencies beyond Bitcoin. In fact, I finally purchased, my second two purchases were Ethereum and Monero. I bought Ethereum last year around $6, $7, and I bought Monero around $1, and I became fascinated. I was like, yo guys, all my friends, you got to check this out. Ethereum is partnering with Microsoft. I don't really understand the idea, but they're doing this cool smart contract thing, and it's really neat, and you guys got to check it out. So I started buying a bunch for like $7, $8, and I really had no idea it was going to be this big, this fast. But I saw that potential, and I was like, wow, this stuff is fucking life-changing. This thing is crazy. And, none of my friends listened to me. I did the same thing with Monero. I was like, wow, Monero is fully untraceable. This is crazy. Like, you can't trace it. Like, no one understood that Bitcoin is 100% fully traceable. And Monero, I was just like, wow, no one can trace you. This is crazy. So I bought a bunch of Monero at $1. It rose quickly to $4. I was like, holy shit, I just quadrupled my investment. I just found a new awesome piece of research, or new awesome piece of tech. And anyway, I kept researching as I was traveling. And anyway, I ended up starting this business about, 4 or 5 months ago now. And it's turned into what it's turned into now. And I have a lot of interesting plans. And I could probably talk here forever, guys. But I wanted to just go over this video and just give you an idea of how I got started, where I came from. Just a little bit about me. I love self-help. I'm always improving myself. In fact, I spend every single minute of every day constantly analyzing what I'm doing and how I'm viewing my time. If I'm playing a game or if I'm watching TV, I put that under leisure, and I only allow myself very little amount of leisure time each day. In fact, most days I don't even allow myself any, because I just want to get my business out here rolling and started. But I'm always analyzing that. I'm going, am I spending leisure time, or am I working? I'm constantly trying to improve myself. I still read a bunch of books. And thank you, Sonny. I definitely need to take some more time here after things kind of settle out here with my business. But that's great to hear, Jim. I hope that you take the opportunity to just really work hard. In fact, everybody still has a point in their life to be able to change, but I'm still young, and I just want to grind out as much as I can while I'm young. I'm 26. I'm single, and I would love to have a girlfriend. I've been single for 3 years, mainly by choice, because I just don't have the time to have a relationship. They're very time consuming. And when you get to a point when you do want to have a relationship, and of course I do, you have to spend the time and effort to grow that relationship. Same thing if you want to get married. If you have kids, that takes a lot of time. So I'm using the time now to get to where I want to be, so that I can have more freedom in the future to spend time with my children, to travel and see more parts of the world, because I really, like I said, travel is also something that's really important for me. I think that it's a fantastic way to grow. And I don't know, that's a little bit about me. That's sort of where I came from. I could certainly go into more detail, but I wanted to share that with you guys, just to give you an idea of where I'm headed. The biggest thing right now for me in my business is really focusing on my website, www.cryptosomniac.com. I really built it in with the mindset of me as a consumer, as an investor, what I would want to see in cryptocurrency. And it'll probably be the project that I work on for the next several years, and a lot of what I make here on the channel is funded back into that business, into building that website, building out that into something cooler and better. It's really just a hub for all things related to crypto. And that's really what I'm focusing on. All the ICO video reviews that I make money on, I use that money to fund the website and build that out and continue to add to it, because I think I'm in a unique position where I have the ability to design and create, but I can also tell and ask you guys what you guys want. The website is really made with the average investor or consumer in mind. So, if there's something that you want to see that's not on that website, we are making it, building it, and creating it with your guys' input. And thank you, Jim. So the ICO reviews are usually paid for by the company, and I just try to give my own honest and unbiased opinion on what their company does, just to help get their vision and mission out there. Some of them are interesting. A lot of them are money grabs at this point. It's very difficult to determine who is a good ICO and who isn't, but it's that type of research that is required at this point to really become, to get in early on something. Back in the day when Ethereum and Monero came out, there weren't a lot of other options. It was kind of clear and obvious to me that privacy was extremely valued, and there was no other currency at the time other than Monero. Same thing with Ethereum. There was only one smart contract platform, and that was Ethereum. There wasn't any Qtum when I bought in. There wasn't any Neo. I believe there was Ant shares, actually, though. So sorry, I guess there was Neo. Sonny says, I got into blockchain this summer and it really excites me. I try to get my family to look into it, but they don't believe in it yet. I think it's not a matter of convincing people. In fact, there was a great talk that I was watching by Andre Antonopoulos, who is amazing to watch when it comes about Bitcoin and blockchain. Extremely passionate guy. But it's not about convincing people to get on board. It's about showing them what blockchain and Bitcoin is able to do, because it's going to change our economy. It is revolutionary how the economy, we're watching our government's economies collapse in front of our eyes. We have the stock market consistently raising every year, interest rates practically at zero. And meanwhile, the market continues to keep rising. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It's not sustainable. And we just keep printing money. And these economies, in my opinion, are doomed for failure. We are just, it doesn't make any sense. And what Bitcoin and decentralization can do is just really life-changing. And it's really all about showing them what it does and how it's going to change economies, and not necessarily just, convincing them, hey, get into Bitcoin. So it's really about showing them that, and not trying to convince them. It's not about, hey, you have to buy Bitcoin because it is the shit, that works for your friends. You might be able to get them on board, a couple of close friends, like my friend Paul did. I just bought Bitcoin off of sort of his whim of advice. I invested a little bit, but that's not going to work for, our parents. And that's kind of what brought me into the channel. It's all about giving you guys that information and advice and trying to teach people about why it's so revolutionary and changing and how it is going to change the world. That's sort of my inspiration for wanting to start the channel, is to convince other people. And if anyone is interested in the cryptocurrency business, there is a need for so many new people. And there's a lot of opportunity for new jobs. We're going to need developers. We need marketers. We need people like myself helping educate people. We need better websites. We need better wallets. We need better exchanges. We need better PR. We need better press. We need everything. So if you're new and you think that you want to pursue a career in cryptocurrency and blockchain, I'm a perfect example of how you can literally do that. In fact, if anyone is interested in contributing to the channel or the company here at CryptoSomniac, we're constantly looking to bring new people on board, whether that be researchers, social media assistants. Something we're really looking forward for right now is someone who's good at editing video. I'm not a great video editor. I know that the channel could do a lot better if it had more, better video. If anyone is located in Los Angeles and wants to help out, we are looking for that. And we would certainly pay you for your help. So there's a ton of jobs information and out there. You can start your own YouTube channel. I'd be happy to help you if you're looking to start something on your own. There's a need for all these different sources of information, new news writers, like I said, everything. And the industry is just going to really explode over the next several years. Thank you all for watching. Hit that thumbs up button. What that does, it allows other people to know that this video is worth watching. And again, I really want to try and make content here that's valuable for you guys, so please leave your guys' feedback. If there's a video or something you guys want me to see or make, or something added to the website, let me know, because I'm always constantly trying to improve. So I really want to know what you guys want to hear and listen to. So I think that's going to finish it here for today, guys. Thanks all for watching. Sonny, we're working on the portfolio tracker on our website now, so hopefully we'll be able to get that out to you as soon as possible. And the portfolio tracker is going to be hopefully some of the best out there, and we will value your input when it's first out. We're going to be adding a lot to it. So yeah, thank you guys all for watching, and have a good rest of the weekend. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.